from Royal Communications Incorporated. A pleasant good morning and welcome to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes of news from Liberia and the rest of our one world. Today is Wednesday, December 3, 2025. I'm Cornelius Johnson presenting the headlines. State-owned enterprises heads boycott House of Representatives Tuesday budget hearing. House threatens punitive actions as budget hearings rift between House of Representatives and Senate intensified. Several members of the Liberia National Bar Association accused the Bar President, Councillor Bono Vamine, of conflict of interest, called for his immediate resignation, but Councillor Vamine says he will not be pushed to resign. Former Vice President Dr. Jua Howard Taylor rallies ECOWAS to institutionalize and enforce women representation in political system, says women continue to face significant social, financial, and structural barriers. Across the border, a Zambian American influencer and political blogger has been sentenced to 18 months in prison for hate speech for making insulting remarks about Zambia's president, Hakainde Hichilema. And Nigeria has granted asylum to Guinea-Bissau presidential candidate Fernando Diaz da Costa just days after a coup prevented the results of the recent election being announced. The news bulletin, the voices of the newsmakers, are all packaged in this edition of the program. We take a very short break to be right back. Let's now have the news bulletin. On Tuesday, several tension erupted in section after lawmakers observed the appearance of process of SOE's heads who were earlier scheduled to appear for the draft 2026 national budget hearings. Instead of heads of SOEs appearing in person, the SOE leadership sent process to address critical national budgetary concerns, something members of the House of Representatives described as disrespectful and deliberate attempt to evade accountability. According to several representatives, the absence of the principal administrators undermines the legislature efforts to understand why key revenue-generating institutions have failed to remit funds to the national budget. Lawmakers insisted that only the heads of these institutions or entities can provide accurate explanation for the ongoing revenue shortfall. The situation sparked a heated exchange on the floor, with some legislators calling for punitive actions against SOEs that continue to ignore legislative summons and accountability measures. As the debate continues, lawmakers are vowing to hold these institutions accountable, emphasizing the importance of transparency and responsibility in national budget management. Heads of SOE's refusal to appear on Tuesday for budget hearings has added the ongoing budget hearings rift between both houses. Many government institutions have recently been refusing to appear before the House of Representatives and have been appearing for Senate separate budget hearings. However, members of the lower house have accused the Senate overstepping its constitutional authority, prompting tension within the national legislature. Several members of the Liberia National Bar Association have begun expressing dissatisfaction with the Bar President, Councillor Bono Vama, ahead of the Bar much anticipated annual convention in Ganta, Nimba County. The internal discontent among some members of the bar stemmed from Councillor Bono Vama appointment and subsequent confirmation as chairperson and executive officer of the law reform. A senior member of the LMBA who spoke to King's FM on anonymity wants Councillor Vamine to immediately resign as president of the bar to focus on his new portfolio. He argued that serving as chairperson and chief executive officer of the Law Reform Commission, a government institution, presents a clear conflict of interest and threatens the independence and integrity of the bar. The LMBA senior member who reverenced Councillor Michael Wickens' rights resignation as president of the bar due to his appointment as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court in 2014, said Councillor Varma's refusal to resign could plunge Liberia's oldest professional legal institution into deeper internal conflict. However, Councillor Bono Varma, during a press conference Monday, noted that he will not be pushed to either resign or make any pronouncement outside of the established constitutional processes of the LMBA. The LMBA president added that his obligations has always been to maintain a bar that is cohesive, vibrant, and peaceful, noting that members will always have different viewpoints. Former Vice President Dr. Jua Howard Taylor has expressed deep appreciation to the leadership of the Economic Community of West African States for their continued commitment over the past 25 years. Speaking at ECOWAS Female Parliamentarians Association in Abuja, Nigeria, the former Liberian Vice President emphasized that although much has been achieved, there is still significant work to be done to expand women's access, influence, and meaningful participation in governance across the ECOWAS region. Madam Taylor, who is being invited by heads of the ECOFIPA, highlighted the need for minimum thresholds for women representation, urging political systems and parties to adopt clear requirements that ensure women are not only included but are able to contribute effectively. She stressed that without genuine commitment, institutions risk repeating the same governance mistake made in the past. Madam Taylor also called for stronger, more institutionalized programs such as internship, training, and mentorship platforms that can equip young women with practical skills, scientific approaches to problem solving, and hands-on experience in public service. Opposition Alternative National Congress has expressed disappointment in what they describe as the United Party-led government continued failure to address key national issues. In a statement issued Tuesday, ANC accused the government of failing to improve the Liberian economy that will cater to the bread and butter issues of ordinary citizens. According to opposition political party, instead of channeling time, resources, and political energy into acquiring and expanding its party headquarters across the country, the government should focus on improving the economy. The statement emphasized that countless Liberians are struggling with rising prices of commodities, unemployment, failing health sector, deteriorating infrastructure, and a stagnant economy, noting that the Unity Party administration has chosen securing political real estate rather than problem or providing real solution. ANC press statement follows its Youth Congress opposition to the government 1.2 billion 2026 draft national budget. During a press conference, ANC Youth Chairman Aliyu Kadi described the 2026 national budget as deception, adding that it contains plotted US 1.2 billion revenue projection, which is not a plan for national development. President Joseph Boakai has outlined what he termed achievements made by his government in 2025. He also acknowledged the challenges that remain in key sectors, including governance, security, and economic development. Speaking Tuesday during a cabinet meeting held in Tottenham, Bombing County, Boakai emphasized collective efforts in nation building, urging public officials and citizens to recognize that every effort, no matter how small, adds to the making and strengthening of the country. He further expressed gratitude to civil servants and citizens contributing to Liberia's development, including those outside government structures. The president highlighted progress in agriculture, reporting that nearly 15,000 hectares are now under cultivation, stressing that these achievements are based on verified data from sector stakeholders and encourage public scrutiny to ensure transparency. The Liberian leader announced that Liberia mobilized over 600 to 700 million in domestic revenue in fiscal year 2025, largely through tax reforms and improved fiscal policies. He also highlighted improvements in public sector service delivery through the performance management system aimed at enhancing accountability and efficiency across government's operations. The Solidarity and Trust for a New Day has vowed to resist any attempt to detour its peaceful protests or peaceful protesters from staging protests on the road between the Executive Mansion and the Capitol building on December 17 in Monrovia. STAN's national chairman, Moba Molu, said no amount of negotiation, hot water tanks, and bullets from the Liberia National Police would detour the December 17 protests from taking place at the property of the Liberian people. Molu, during a press conference on Tuesday, argued that if the group that staged protests against the proliferation of dangerous drugs could be allowed to stage a protest on the road between the Executive Mansion and the Capitol building, STAN cannot be stopped from staging its protest at the front of the Executive Mansion. He pointed out that December 17 code name Lead or Leave Enough is Enough will be sustained until President Joseph Boakai can respond to the demands of the protesters. According to STAN chairman, the July 17 peaceful protest was staged on the road between the Capitol building and the main campus of the University of Liberia, but in this case, no negotiation for change of venue will be accepted. The Liberia National Police on Tuesday reviewed a new supply of high-performance Samsung tablets donated by the International Development Law Reform with support from the U.S. government aimed at enhancing crime data collection and digital reporting nationwide. The devices are expected to improve the management and documentation of trafficking in persons across the country, delivering IDLO country manager Chinle Lumo Ako commended the strong partnership between IDLO and the LMP supported by the U.S. Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs since 2018, which continues to advance investigations, expand tip awareness, and strengthen the quality of trafficking data. Speaking at the handover ceremony, U.S. Embassy Chargé d'Affaires Joe Jaronim praised IDLO's leadership and reaffirms the United States' commitment to supporting Liberia's rule of law institutions. He also highlighted the role of the UNDP in establishing the Crime Statistics Information System, noting that the system will now be upgraded to incorporate tip data as part of this new initiative. Also speaking, LMP Inspector General Colonel Gregory Coleman expressed gratitude to IDLO, the U.S. government, and UNDP for their continued support. He emphasized that the new digital tools will modernize police operations and bolster Liberia's national response to human trafficking. A group calling itself the Residents Against Legislative Abandonment in District 16, Montserrat County, has called for the resignation of Dixon Sibo as representative of the district. The spokesperson of the group, Kevin Batwa, claimed that Representative Dixon Sibo has been overwhelmed by the arson case involving him and others, and as such, he is hardly seen discussing issues regarding the district. Batwa pointed out that since the indictment of the December 16 lawmaker, of the District 16 lawmaker, he has not been proactive, adding that there is no need to remain a lawmaker. The group wants Representative Dixon Sibo to immediately, in order to focus on his case, asserting he does not have any time to put in the district, to resign. And ahead of the Unity Party fundraiser, is Youth Congress National Chairman has voiced concerns regarding partisans using the national transit or transport system. Toga Sivas, who spoke on the local radio, said no member of the United Party should be allowed to use the buses owned by the National Transit Authority on December 6th. The UP Youth Congress National Chairman, who also served as Deputy Managing Director of the National Transit Authority, termed his proposal as necessary to avoid misconstrued or to avoid being misconstrued that the buses are given free of charge to the Unity Party program. He claimed that some members or individuals have been criticizing the government upcoming fundraiser of the party headquarters construction. The news bulletin will take a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you the voices of the newsmakers. Indeed, if you just join us, a reminder you are in tune to King's Newsroom for the 5 minutes of news from Liberia and the rest of our one world. Today's Wednesday, December 3, 2025. My name is Cornelius Johnson, presenting one of our top stories this morning. Several members of the Liberia National Bar Association accused the Bar President, Councillor Bono Vamai, of conflict of interest, call for his immediate resignation, but Councillor Vamai says he will not be pushed to resign. Let's now bring you voices of the newsmakers. Today's development now on Tuesday, serious tension erupted in section after lawmakers observed the appearance of process of SOE's heirs who were earlier scheduled to appear for the draft 2026 national budget hearings instead of heirs of SOE appearing in person. The SOE leadership sent process to address critical national budgetary concerns, something members of the House of Representatives describe as disrespectful and a deliberate attempt to avoid or evade accountability. According to several representatives, the absence of the principal administrators undermines the legislature effort to understand why key revenue generating institutions have failed to remit funds to the national budget. Here is a highlight of the House of Representatives Tuesday's tension after heads of state-owned enterprises sent proxies for the budget hearings. A scene of tension there at the House of Representatives on Tuesday. The situation has sparked a heated exchange on the floor, with some legislature calling for punitive actions against SOEs that continue to ignore legislative summons and accountability measures. As the debate continues, lawmakers are vowing to hold these institutions accountable, emphasizing the importance of transparency and responsibility in national budget management. Many government institutions have been recently refusing to appear before the House of Representatives, but at the same time been appearing for Senate separate budget hearings. Several members of the Liberia National Bar Association have begun expressing dissatisfaction in the bar's president, Councillor Bono Vamai, ahead of the bar much anticipated annual convention in Ganta, Nimba County. The internal discontent among some members of the bar stemmed from Councillor Bono Vamai appointment and subsequent confirmation as chairperson and chief executive officer of the Law Reform Commission. A senior member of the bar who spoke to King's FM wants Councillor Vamai to immediately resign as president of the bar to focus on his new portfolio. However, Councillor Bono Vamai, during a press conference recently, noted that he would not be pushed to either resign or make any pronouncement outside of the established constitutional processes of the LNBA. The LNBA president added that his obligation has always been to maintain a bar that is cohesive, vibrant and peaceful, noting that members will always have differing points of view. Here now is Councillor Bono Varma.
Normally, given the fact that we have an adversarial system, common law jurisdiction, people don't agree on everything that compose, even in the rule of sector. Yes, to answer your question, I have been appointed by His Excellency President Joseph Newman Walker as the new Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the Law Reform Commission of the Republic of Nigeria. I think I want to preoccupy myself with that right now. The Convention of the Bar, like I indicated in my introductory remark, is the highest organ of the Liberian National Bar Association. This morning I was on here busy and I indicated to the public that we welcome the conversations that have been held about the subject matter. Because of our preoccupation on the preparatory works for the convention, I don't want to be premature to make any emphatic statement whether or not there's conflict of interest, there are contradictions. You all are journalists, you follow events in the bar, and we can only encourage you to maybe take a look at the constitution of the bar. Like I said, because I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of the subject matter, let me say to you, whatever the outcome of the convention will be, insofar as it relates to the issue you raised, keep the bar afloat, cohesive, and more vibrant. That's what I can say on the subject matter. And so, like I said, we commend all members of the bar, including the Chief Justice, Associate Justices, former Chief Justices, former retired Chief Justices, and Associate Justices, attorneys, magistrates, and everyone to graciously register to participate in the convention of the LMBA because it is mandated by the Constitution of the bar. Whatever the outcomes will be, I can't say, but I can tell you that convention promises to be one of the best conventions that we're talking about here.
He's the president of the Liberia National Bar Association, Councillor Bono Varman, there speaking. The Solidarity and Trust for a New Day has vowed to resist any attempt to detour its peaceful protesters from staging the protest on the road between the Executive Mansion and the Capitol building on December 17. In Monrovia, STAN's national chairman, Moba Molu, said no amount of negotiation, hot water, and bullets from the Liberia National Police would detour the December 17 protest from taking place at the property of the Liberian people. Molu, during a press conference on Tuesday, argued that if the group that staged a protest against the proliferation of dangerous drugs could be allowed to stage protests on the road between the Executive Mansion and the Capitol building, STAN cannot be stopped from staging its peaceful protest at the front of the Executive Mansion. Here now is STAN's chairman, Moba Molu.
On December 17, in most capitals of different countries, especially in Montserrat, where thousands of Liberians will turn out from 6 a.m. on the 17th of December at the premises of the Executive Mansion to peacefully make demands that are consistent with the Constitution of the Republic that gives citizens the right, the constitutional obligation to require of their governors or their state actors the need to take proactive democratic actions or reform when their safety or their security so requires. The safety and security of Liberians at this time requires the need for a peaceful and not violent democratic revolution in Liberia. That revolution begins on December 17, and it is irreversible. And once it is initiated, it will not be cut off until Joseph Yimon Boakai will make the wise decision to listen to the demands of the people and commence a scrupulous process to implement all the demands that will be contained in our assembly on that day. We will be very peaceful, we will be law-abiding, but we will be fearless. And we will converge at the Executive Mansion. And the decision of the people to converge at a property that is a custody of the citizens will not be negotiated. It will not be negotiated and will not be deterred. No by tear gas canisters, nor by hot water trucks, or by police bullets. On December 17, we will not be detoured. We will not be turned around. We will not take no for an answer. The Liberian people in their thousands, possibly in the tens of thousands, will converge right before the front yard, the front pavement of the executive mansion, because that place is the property of the people, and the people will not be denied the right to converge on their property. Any justification to the contrary that will seek to deny the people their right to converge at that very spot will not only be contested, but will be resisted, will be fought with every ounce of our blood, ideologically, of course, peacefully, because it is by precedence that citizens can be allowed to assemble at that very spot. And we will not be denied our rights because we are Liberian citizens.
His stance Chairman Moba Molu, the speaking at a press conference on yesterday. Former Vice President Dr. Jua Hawatila has expressed deep appreciation to the leadership of the economic community of West African states for their continued commitment over the past 25 years. Speaking at ECOWAS Female Parliamentarians Association in Abuja, Nigeria, the former Liberian Vice President emphasized that although much has been achieved, there is still significant work to be done to expand women's access, influence, and meaningful participation in governance across the ECOWAS region. Madam Taylor, who is being invited by heads of ECOFIPA, highlighted the need for minimum thresholds for women representation, urging political systems and parties to adopt clear requirements that ensure women are not only included but are able to contribute effectively.
I believe as we go towards the next 25 years, we should work hard to strengthen and harmonize gender parity legislation so that it becomes a mandatory requirement. This issue has to be raised from the ECOWAS parliamentarian level to the heads of states, because in the end, they are the ones who are actually governing the state. And if they don't have a commitment to do it, then it's just no talk. We must build strong leadership pipelines for women, institutionalizing mentorship, partnering at all levels so our young women can actually get a chance to come in and get trained, get the necessary skills. And politics is a scientific game. How do we learn to play that scientific game? It's not about how I feel, it's about the numbers show. Women have to be shown how to calculate the numbers to make sure they can win that game. We must reform political party structures for equal access, as I said earlier, and require parties to implement internal gender quotas. We must shift social norms to public campaigns. We should ensure financial security support for women candidates. This has been a theme I've been talking about for the last 15 years. Where can we get money for where can we get financial support for entering public office? It's become so expensive now, it is really funny. A woman must decide if she has $1 to either continue to send her children to school or get into public politics. It's a tough choice. Whether to put money aside for education or healthcare or food or get involved in politics. So most instances you'll find that women who have to make that choice, make the choice for the family, and they are left outside of the circle. The issue of financial security and the support for female candidates cannot be overlooked.
Former Vice President Dr. Jua Howard Taylor, there speaking. Opposition Alternative National Congress has expressed disappointment in what they describe as the United Party-led government continued failure to address key national concerns. In a statement issued Tuesday, ANC accused the government of failing to improve the Liberian economy that will cater to the bread and butter issues of ordinary citizens. According to the opposition political party, instead of channeling time, resources, and political energy into acquiring and expanding its party headquarters across the country, the government should focus on improving the economy. ANC's press statement follows its Youth Congress opposition to the government 1.2 billion 2026 draft national budget. During a press conference recently, ANC Youth Chairman Aliyu Kadi described the 2026 national budget as deception, adding that it contains a plotted US 1.2 billion revenue projection, which is not a plan for national development.
The so-called 2026 national budget is a blotted 1.211 billion revenue projection. It's not a plan for national development. It is a political hallucination, a fiscal fraud, and a betrayal of the people's trust. How can a government that failed to collect even 880 million in fiscal year 2025 now promise to raise over 1.2 billion in 2026? This is not an ambition. It is the arrogance of a regime that believes it can continue to lie to the people without consequence. They tell us domestic revenue is strong. They want us to believe in miracles, not mathematics. This budget is built on contingency and illusions. A 200 million accidental bonus that has not been rectified, an asset recovery fund that exists only in the minds of corrupt officials. This is not budgeting, it is gambling with the nation's future. They are creating fiscal space for looting, not for liberation. They are inflating numbers to justify lavish spending, blotted contracts, and political patronage, while the ordinary Liberian cannot afford rice, school fees, or hospital bills.
His ANC Youth Congress chairman there speaking, Aliyu Kadi. Indeed, if you just join us, a reminder you are in tune to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes of news from Liberia and the rest of our One World to this Wednesday, December 3, 2025. Story topping the headlines this morning: state-owned enterprises heads boycott House of Representatives Tuesday budget hearing. House threatens punitive actions as budget hearings rift between House of Representatives and Senate intensifies. Several members of the Liberia National Bar Association accused the Bar President, Councillor Bono Varman, of conflict of interest, called for his immediate resignation, but Councillor Varman says he will not be pushed to resign. Former Vice President Dr. Jiwa Howard Taylor rallies ECOWAS to institutionalize and enforce women representation in political system, says women continue to face significant social, financial, and structural barriers. Across the border, a Zambian American influencer and political blogger has been sentenced to 18 months in prison for his speech for making insulting remarks about Zambia's president, Hakainde Hichilema. And Nigeria has granted asylum to Guinea-Bissau presidential candidate Fernando Diaz da Costa just days after a coup prevented the results of the recent election being announced. We take a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you more developments on the program. Many thanks for being there and welcome back. To this development now, President Joseph Boakai has outlined what he termed achievement made by his government in 2025. He also acknowledged the challenges that remain in key sectors, including governance, security, and economic development. Speaking Tuesday during a cabinet meeting held in Tottenburg, Palm County, Boakai emphasized collective efforts in nation building, urging public officials and citizens to recognize that every effort, no matter how small, adds to the making and strengthening of the country. He further expressed gratitude to civil servants and citizens contributing to Liberia's development, including those outside government structures.
Gain across the government that we have made together. And I'd like to be very serious of that. They will have to do everything to be a part of the making of this country. But everything you do add to the making of the country. And I want to appreciate everybody, whatever you do, even including our people who are not in government, who are doing good things for the country. We have to be very grateful to them. So a few things have happened in agriculture. The rice production is rising with nearly 15,000 hectares under cover cultivation. And we like to highlight that because all of these are based on information given us by those who are key players. So when they talk, you can go and check behind them. The NCLA let us know. Governance is strengthening as the rule of law is improved. We are not relenting in our fight against corruption. And have already begun setting examples to demonstrate our seriousness. Cases involved suspended tenure officials should be resolved promptly, and some of them have already resigned. And outstanding audits along with matters submitted to the LECC. We must address these without delay.
He also highlighted improvements in public sector service delivery through the performance management system aimed at enhancing accountability and efficiency across government's operations. President Bouakai stressed that Liberia's progress depends on capable leadership committed to the country's long-term development.
Internationally, Liberia is gradually regaining credibility and visibility. The public sector delivery depends on our strong performance. Our officials must collaborate, meet their targets under the performance management system. Maybe when we started, most people did not understand how that was working, but I hope it is working now, and provide regular reporting. We track the outcomes of our foreign trips and engagements with development partners and ensure that Liberia benefit from these trips. We continue to guide our appointments. We have to have rigorous vetting of critical positions and not at business as usual. It's not going to be based on party relations or any family connection, because this country has to move. We have to put the right people in place, people who love the country, people who want to see a good country, and people who are competent. The leadership want to inform all appointments, particularly as we respond to the service delivery.
President Joseph Boakai, this speaking at a cabinet meeting held in Tottenburg, Bombing County. The Liberia National Police on Tuesday received a new supply of high-performance Samsung tablets donated by the International Development Law Organization with support from the U.S. government aimed at enhancing crime data collection and digital reporting nationwide. The devices are expected to improve the management and documentation of trafficking in persons cases across the country. Delivering IDLO Contract Manager Chiyelumo Akor commended the strong partnership between IDLO and the Liberia National Police, supported by the U.S. Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs since 2018, which continues to advance investigations, expand tip awareness, and strengthen the quality of data trafficking.
This donation is part of our efforts over time to support the capacity of institutions involved in the TIT response. We have been supporting the police since 2018 and working directly with them to enhance the investigation of cases. This also specifically with the information technique section that houses the TIT. We have carried out several trainings in capacity development initiatives over time across the country, and we want to thank the Liberia National Police Department as well. Because I do not think that the results that we have achieved would have been possible without.
Speaking at the handover ceremony, U.S. Embassy Chargé Affairs Joe Zajoning praised IDLO's leadership and reaffirmed the United States' commitment to supporting Liberia's rule of law institutions. He also highlighted the role of the UNDP in establishing the Crime Statistics Information System, noting that the system will now be upgraded to incorporate tip data as part of this new initiative.
It's an honor to be here with you today as we continue to strengthen our partnership and deepen our shared commitment to justice and security. I want to begin by commending IDLO for its outstanding work in delivering U.S. government-sponsored law enforcement programs here in Liberia. I also want to recognize UNDP for its important contribution to establishing the Crime Statistics Information System, the CSIS, which laid the foundation for today's initiative. This handover builds on the progress by expanding CSIS, in capturing trafficking and persons cases and ensuring even more comprehensive and credible crime reporting. To the Liberian National Police, I extend my respect and gratitude. Dedication, professionalism, and sacrifices you demonstrate every day build a safer society and inspire confidence in the rule of law.
Also speaking, LNP Inspector General Colonel Gregory Coleman expressed gratitude to RDLO, the U.S. government, and the UNDP for their continued support. He emphasized that the new digital tools will modernize police operations and bolster Liberia's national response to human trafficking.
A few days ago, the third level was elevated in West Africa, terrorism, the Chad Basin, and absolutely no country in West Africa is immune at this point in time. The need for us to transition to more informed training solutions by data analytics and analytics data. And at this point in time, investigation is extremely critical because we're moving beyond just working as a unit and looking into the sub-unit and seeing how we can bring together countries that border each other to reduce further risk factor of transmission of organized crime, strengthen our resolve and operate as one with
His Police Inspector General Colonel Gregory Coleman. Earlier, you listened to the U.S. Embassy Charge d'Affaires, Joe Sadroni, and also you listened to the country director of RDLO, Chinyelongo Akor. They're speaking. A group calling itself Residents Against Legislative Abandonment in District 16 Maserati County has called for the resignation of Dixon Sibo as representative of the district. The spokesperson of the group, Kelvin Batwa, claimed that Representative Dixon Sibo has been overwhelmed by the arson case involving him and others, and as such, he is hardly seen discussing issues regarding the district.
Our lawmaker has abandoned our entire district, and it's the second time he abandoned the district, and then he is currently at this point using the quote-unquote arson case to extendedly abandon the district. So what we are saying is the Sibo, our assembly there this morning was not to fight, was not to do anything, but our assembly this morning was to tell Mr. Sibo that for the sake of employment, we employ him for the sake of your employment, and government had case on you. Distance yourself from our district activity, exonerate yourself. You got to resign.
Across the border now, a Zambian American influencer and political blogger has been sentenced to 18 months in prison for his speech for making insulting remarks about Zambia's president, Hakainde Hichilema. Zambia's born Elton Edwards, who also holds U.S. citizenship and works as an estate agent in New York, has a large following across various social media accounts. Known as One Boss Lady, she has become renowned for her rants about the president over the last 2 years. The 42-year-old was arrested at Zambia's main airport 3 months ago after arriving to attend her grandmother's funeral. She pleaded guilty in a magistrate's court in the capital, Lusaka, and apologized to the president for her comments. And Nigeria has granted asylum to Guinea-Bissau presidential candidate Fernando Diaz da Costa just days after a coup prevented the results of the recent election being announced. The 47-year-old who ran as candidate for the Party for Social Renewal was under special protection at the Nigerian embassy following threats made against him. Nigeria foreign minister said Diaz was the main challenger to Sissoko Mbola, who was seeking a second term as president and has left the country following the military takeover. A delegation from the West African bloc, ECOWAS, has been in the country urging the military to step aside and release the results of the vote. To end this news, here once again, our top stories. State-owned enterprises head boycott House of Representatives Tuesday budget hearing. House threatens punitive actions against or punitive actions as budget hearings rift between House of Representatives and Senate intensifies. Several members of the Liberia National Bar Association accused the Bar President, Councillor Bono Vamine, of conflict of interest, call for his immediate resignation. But Councillor Vaman says he will not be pushed to resign. Former Vice President Dr. Jiwa Howard Taylor rallies ECOWAS to institutionalize and enforce women representation in political systems, says women continue to face significant social, financial, and structural barriers. Away from home, a Zambian American influencer and political blogger has been sentenced to 18 months in prison for hate speech for making insulting remarks about Zambia's president, Hakainde Hichilema, and Nigeria has granted asylum to Guinea-Bissau presidential candidate Fernando Diaz da Costa just days after a coup prevented the results from the recent election being announced. Many thanks to all of our contributors, editors, and reporters who help in making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. For more news and information on this station, do join us at 1 p.m. this afternoon, or better still, at 6 p.m. for a fresh edition of the program. On behalf of the entire team, my name is Cornelius Johnson. I presented. Many thanks to you for listening and watching. Good morning.